Hey gang, I'm Fahaam, your financial freedom guru. Let's turn your dreams into billionaire success stories. Today we're diving into one of the most dramatic financial journeys in modern history. A man who was once hailed as Brazil's answer to Elon Musk. A man who built an empire so powerful, he promised it would make Brazil a global economic superpower. A man who went from being the 7th richest person on earth to being completely broke, facing courtrooms instead of boardrooms. This is the rise and fall of Eike Batista. His journey is the ultimate lesson in ambition, wealth, risk, and collapse. And most importantly, it's a case study on what to do, and what not to do, on your path to financial freedom. Eike Batista was born in Brazil in 1956, the son of a respected businessman and former Minister of Mines and Energy. From an early age, Eike was exposed to the world of business and power. He studied engineering in Germany but dropped out and returned to Brazil, where he began his entrepreneurial journey in gold trading. At just 23 years old, he launched his first company, Autrimorum, and made his first million in a year. He was sharp, calculated, and unafraid to take risks. He would buy gold directly from miners and export it at high margins. Eike had found the formula: buy cheap, sell high, and dominate the supply chain. But gold was only the beginning. In the 1990s and 2000s, Eike Batista created Grupo EBX, a conglomerate that would become the foundation of his empire. The EBX group wasn't just one company. It was a collection of businesses operating in oil exploration, mining, shipbuilding, logistics, and energy. It included OGX for oil, MMX for mining, LLX for logistics, MPX for energy, and OSX for shipbuilding. Each company had an ambitious mission, and Eike positioned himself as the visionary leading Brazil into the future. Investors were hooked. Billions flowed into his ventures. By 2012, Eike Batista's net worth hit a peak of $35 billion. He was the 7th richest man in the world. His face was on the cover of Forbes. His name was spoken with awe and envy. He said he would become the richest man in the world. He bought luxurious mansions, owned a fleet of sports cars, and famously parked his $1.3 million Mercedes-Benz SLR McLaren inside his living room. Yes, inside. Not in a garage. But here's where things took a dark turn. While Eike was making bold promises about oil discoveries and billion-dollar revenues, his flagship company OGX was hiding a dirty secret. The oil fields weren't delivering. OGX promised to pump 750,000 barrels of oil per day. In reality, it could barely produce 15,000. Investors began to panic. Stock prices started crashing. Debt piled up. And one by one, his companies began to crumble. The empire he built like a house of cards began collapsing. In 2013, OGX filed for bankruptcy. MMX followed. By 2014, Eike had lost $34 billion of his wealth. Gone. In 2 years, he went from the 7th richest person to completely bankrupt. And that wasn't even the worst part. In 2017, he was arrested and later convicted for bribing the former governor of Rio de Janeiro. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison for corruption and money laundering. The same man who dined with world leaders was now facing criminal charges, his reputation destroyed. His luxurious assets were seized. His dreams of becoming the richest man in the world were shattered. But what went wrong? Was it bad luck, or something deeper? Eike Batista's story is not just a tale of losing money. It's about overpromising and underdelivering. It's about the danger of ego in business. He was so focused on painting himself as a genius visionary that he neglected the actual foundations of his companies. He hyped up oil fields that weren't producing. He spent millions on branding, parties, and personal image, while ignoring the red flags inside his companies. Investors trusted him because of his charm, but charm isn't enough to run a business. Substance matters. Data matters. Real performance matters. Eike believed in fake it till you make it, but sometimes, faking it too long leads to a total collapse. So what can we learn from Eike Batista's journey on our road to financial freedom? First, build on solid ground. Whether it's a business, an investment, or a side hustle, make sure what you're doing is real, valuable, and sustainable. Second, never let ego drive your decisions. Ike's hunger for fame and recognition blinded him. Third, don't put all your eggs in one basket. He tied all his wealth to a few companies in volatile sectors. When oil prices dropped, everything fell apart. Diversification is key to long-term wealth. Fourth, transparency builds trust. Batista's empire was built on promises. But when those promises failed to become reality, trust vanished, and so did the money. Today, Eike Batista's name is a warning. But it can also be a lesson. He showed that anyone can become rich with vision, courage, and timing. But staying rich, that requires humility, honesty, and adaptability. You can't just chase headlines or play to your ego. You have to respect the process, trust the data, and make decisions not just for the moment, but for the long run. Ike's rise teaches us that opportunities are real, even in places like Brazil that were often overlooked in global finance. He inspired a generation of entrepreneurs to dream bigger. He showed how one man can mobilize billions. But his fall reminds us that unchecked ambition without accountability is a recipe for disaster. You must learn to say no to hype and yes to truth. You must learn to stay grounded even when you're flying high. Even after everything, Eike has said he wants to rebuild, to write a new chapter. And maybe he will. Because that's the nature of money and success. It's never truly over. Financial freedom is not just about hitting a number. It's about managing that number, protecting it, and growing it with wisdom. Batista once said, "I am a dreamer, and Brazil needs dreamers." That part is still true. But we need dreamers who are builders, too. Who dream with their feet on the ground. So remember this, gang, wealth can be built fast, but lost even faster. Always do your research. Always know where your money is going. And never chase fame more than facts. Eike Batista's journey is our ultimate cautionary tale. From gold mines to oil fields to courtrooms, his life reminds us that every empire must be built on truth. Stay smart, stay grounded, and don't forget, freedom is built on discipline.